Oh my lord, third time's the charm. Sorry about this stream, guys. I took you off Wi-Fi. Maybe that's a little bit better. Okay, breaking news. Donald Trump has appointed his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to be the senior advisor to the president. A senior transition official told CNN. They broke this story about 40 minutes ago. So Donald Trump has not had any qualms about nepotism charges. Ivanka Trump has been in meetings with foreign leaders that he has had since becoming president-elect. Those meetings have been helpful for him or for her because she has a clothing deal with a Chinese company that deals frequently with the Chinese government. That was one story that came out recently. Donald Trump has had no issues with the fact that his company is going to be run by his kids, and most media outlets have said your kids are going to be talking to you about the deals that you're doing internationally and that you're going to be personally enriching yourself through the presidency and through your kids. But he has basically poo-pooed that when everybody knows that that's really what he's going to be doing. Corruption is spelled with Trump, not exactly, but you get the gist. So yes, Jared Kushner is going to be in Trump's White House team. And this presents a variety of ethical implications that I will lay out to you now. So even as the Trump transition is expected to announce how Kushner's appointment won't violate anti-nepotism laws, we'll come back to that later, Kushner, who owns his own real estate development firm, has continued to chase deals that raise questions about his conflicts of interests. Kushner met with a powerful Chinese business magnate in the week after his father-in-law's election as he sought to finalize a deal for the purchase of one of his most prized properties on Fifth Avenue, the New York Times reported. I will summarize what was said in that New York Times report. So Hua Xiaowei, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Wu Xiaowei, he's the CEO of Anbang Insurance Group, which is a huge insurance group within China, one of the largest insurers in China, and it has assets, according to this New York Times article, of over $285 billion. So Jared Kushner and this CEO had dinner at the Waldorf Astoria, which is, if you're from the New York area, a ridiculously expensive hotel in New York City, and it's very fancy. The Waldorf is actually owned by Anbang Insurance Group, and so, of course, they had dinner there to butter this CEO up. And Kushner is actually a major real estate investor. Now I will read from the New York Times article. Mr. Wu and Mr. Kushner, who is married to Trump's daughter, were nearing agreement on a joint venture in Manhattan, the redevelopment of 666 Fifth Avenue, the fading crown jewel of the Kushner real estate empire. Anbang, which has close ties to the Chinese state, has seen its aggressive efforts to buy up hotels in the U.S. slowed amid concerns raised by the Obama administration officials who review foreign investments for national security risk. Now, according to two people with knowledge of the get-together, Mr. Wu toasted Mr. Trump and declared his desire to meet with the president-elect, whose ascension he was sure was to be good for global business. So, while we're talking about Russia, and Donald Trump, there is another foreign government and people who are involved in foreign governments that are looking to take advantage of his idiocy and the way he wants to personally enrich himself and doesn't really care about the well-being of the country so long as it gets in the way of his profits. China and people with close ties to the Chinese government there, large insurance company there, are licking its chops to get involved in Donald Trump's businesses and to make deals with the son-in-law of Donald Trump. The New York Times article expands. Unlike the Trump Organization, which has shifted its focus from acquisition to branding of the Trump name, the Kushner family business, led by Mr. Kushner, is a major real estate investor across the New York area and beyond. The company has participated in roughly $7 billion in acquisitions in the last decade, and many of them backed by opaque foreign money, as well as financial institutions Mr. Kushner's father-in-law will soon have a hand in regulating, you don't say. The Anbang talks, which had not been previously reported, began roughly 6 months ago, well before the president-elect's victory, Mr. Kushner's spokeswoman Reza Heller noted. That was, however, just as Mr. Trump clinch the Republican nomination. While the talks are far along, representatives from Mr. Kushner has said some points remain unresolved. Of course, Ms. Heller declined to outline the financial terms under discussion, but it sounds like it's a lot of cash. I'm from New York. I know that Fifth Avenue, and I know that that piece of real estate is not going to go for cheap. So this deal has a lot of money for Jared Kushner, and as the New York Times reports, the Kushner family name and the Kushner real estate business is not exactly thriving right now. So this is money for Kushner, especially now that he's an advisor to the Trump administration. You think that he's not going to manipulate stuff behind the scenes to get better deals for his fading crown jewel and for other real estate properties like it? Come on. This is another, so addressing those nepotism concerns. Kushner's lawyers have concluded that the one potential sticking point of federal anti-nepotism law is not applicable, though not all ethics experts agree. Thank you, New York Times. Understatement of the century. While the law prohibits federal officials from hiring relatives for agencies they lead, Mr. Kushner's lawyers argue, among other things, that the White House is not an agency and is therefore exempt. Maybe they're right in the legal sense, but give me a break. So the White House is entirely powerless. Oh, it's not an agency. They might as well be putting Jared Kushner in a Burger King outfit, and that's his job. There's no conflicts of interest whatsoever. This one is even more concerning for me. Neither Kushner nor Trump have publicly commented on the concerns of nepotism. Kushner, who is an observant Jew, fine, first took a role. That's how CNN is phrasing it. I don't mean to be insensitive, but first took the role in his father's presidential campaign, advising him on U.S. policy towards Israel, and helped write the speech Trump delivered to AIPAC, the pro-Israel lobby. Here's where it gets dicey for me. Jared Kushner is a director of a family foundation that has made charitable donations to West Bank settlements. The gifts, totaling $58,500, began between 2011 and 2013. 2011 and 2013. A small portion of the almost $8.5 million that Sarah and Charles Kushner Family Foundation gave away in that period, according to the IRS records first reported by the Israeli newspaper Haaretz and reviewed independently by the Washington Post. But his family has a foundation, but he himself donated $58,500. Kushner and his three siblings are directors, along with their parents, of the foundation. Kushner is not known to have publicly expressed a position on Jewish settlements in the West Bank. But do you think that his appointment comes as a complete coincidence with the fact that Donald Trump and Netanyahu just had a orgy or a love fest on Twitter, and that John Kerry took a very principled position, in my opinion, and said, no more. We give you money, Israel. So you're just going into the West Bank and you're just going to put these settlements there and just take our money. We have the Iron Dome. You have the Iron Dome because we gave it to you. But Netanyahu, in his infinite arrogance, has expanded and will continue to expand for perpetual war between Palestine and Israel. And they're just going to occupy those territories and beat the Palestinians into submission. And if Jared Kushner's money trail is any indication, he is in favor of that. He donated to West Bank settlements. That is a fact. By the way, that was from the Washington Post. So we thought the Clinton Foundation was shady, and that's absolutely correct. But this nepotism is very concerning, but even more concerning are Jared Kushner's ties to the West Bank and to the Middle East in that region. It's not just that he has financial ties to what's going on in Israel, and there's no indication that he does for his own personal profit. It's that he ideologically believes enough in sending money to West Bank settlements. So that's where we get a peek into how he views what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I am very passionate about that issue. I find Netanyahu to be Dick Cheney light at best, and he constantly gets reelected. And every time that he goes into a conflict with Palestine, his poll numbers get driven up, and he's at like some 80% approval rating right now because he just beats that war chest. And Jared Kushner seems to be in favor of that kind of war chest beating. Best case scenario, Jared Kushner is a run-of-the-mill corporatist, Republican Mitt Romney-esque, who will advise Trump against taking some of the xenophobic and terrifying stances that he has said that he will take and had said, especially during the primary, and has in some ways continued to say, the Muslim ban, etc. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is the United States wavers from its current position, which it seems like it's going to, in my opinion, that John Kerry took, saying that we don't favor a two-state solution, and Israel just runs over Palestine. Along with the corruption, along with personally enriching himself at the expense of the United States potentially, along with all of those things. So, Jared Kushner, we shall see. But that's the Israel stance is definitely the most concerning for me. So, have a great day, guys. Bye.